people when you call this office that you talk to. And anytime you have a need or if we can do anything for you, don't hesitate to call. Because we're just more than happy to help. We do want to welcome you here this morning. I think this is the largest crowd we've had in a long time. It's a good sign. I think there's a lot going on in Columbia County that we can be excited about. And I think our industry's looking really good. We're doing some things, and you know, I just think South Arkansas, as far as a region, we had Dr. Rankin is the president of our Golden Triangle group, and we had a meeting yesterday in Camden, and I think the region as a whole is doing really well, and so we're excited about that. I'd like to introduce to you our president, Mike Boyd, and I'm going to turn it over to him.
Good morning. Morning. Thanks for everybody being here today. And from Representative Cotton's office, Vanessa Moody. Thank you very much for being here. You know, MEDC couldn't accomplish the things that it accomplishes without the people that Cammie just mentioned, and that's Ginger and Mickey and certainly Cammie. And we're glad to have on board now Ellie in the chamber to help out. And I first just want everybody to give them a round of applause. We'll first go through the minutes from last year. So you all have the paperwork there in front of you. You've had a chance to take a look at that. I'm going to need a motion to approve the minutes from 2013.
I move the minutes be approved.
Second. Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the minutes. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Now move to the financial report, Mr. Edstrom.
Okay, I think your financial statement's attached. If you'll turn to page 2, you'll check and see our assets. Our cash has increased a little bit. We still, you know, $480,000. It's not really much of a slush fund. We need some more money. The assets pretty much the same. The only big change is we got rid of our transload facility. That was given to, is it public? Hicks and Lumber for expansion. We paid down a little on our note. That's about the only change over last year on our balance sheet. If you'll turn to page 3, receipts are down. We had some donations last year for a project out at the business park that we signed. Of course, we didn't have that this year. And our sales tax revenues are down. As far as expenses go, the only big noticeable thing is we didn't do as much with business retention and expansion and existing workforce enhancement. We had $142,000 in 2012. We only spent $66,000 in 13. We'd love to spend $1 million there if we could, but no, that's one expense you really want high, but there just haven't been the opportunities. All said, of course, last year we had a $95,000 loss. This year we only had 13. You need to factor in the fact that we have depreciation of $81,000 last year, $84,000 this year, and that depreciation is a non-cash expense. So we're doing okay budget-wise. Any questions?
Any questions about? I'll entertain a motion to approve the financial report.
So moved.
Dr. Russell, a second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the financial report. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, next on this next item on your agenda should be election of members rather than election of officers. I don't know if that was something that maybe changed the president here. Somebody did it today. moved to Den
South,
Springs?
like Southwest.
They're getting a good person down there, that's all I can say. So she's great. So we have, unfortunately, to fill her shoes, the good news is we have a great nomination. The nominating committee met, considered a couple of choices, and ultimately nominated Jonathan Baird as the new member. Jonathan served this year on the MEDC board by virtue of being president of Chamber of Commerce. Everybody know Jonathan? He's sitting right here. Jonathan, raise your hand. Jonathan also happens to be the reigning small bank CFO of the year for the state of Arkansas, so you all should know that. And of course is a big part of People's Bank and Mustard Seed Financial. He's been a great asset to us, and it was very quickly recognized by our group. And he was working with us throughout this year in our strategic planning and trying to accomplish goals of what an asset he is. And so the nominating committee decided he would be the best person to nominate for this position. So with that said, that is the nomination. Do I hear any other nominations or a motion to close nominations?
I move that nominations cease and we elect Jonathan by acclamation.
Okay. Motion's been made. Do I have a second? Second. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, and welcome again. All right. Also this year, we'll be taking on 2 additional members. Each year, the mayor selects really 2 persons, one from the city council to serve on our board, which I think is plan from the beginning, as I've understood it, is he wanted to give each member of the city council an opportunity to serve on our board. They're there by virtue of the bylaws, but not all members have served, and if the city council members haven't had an opportunity to see what it is that MEDC actually does and the challenges that it faces in trying to do those things, it's sometimes hard to appreciate that task. So Mayor Van, in his wisdom, has chosen to each year rotate a city council member through. The good news is we get to meet those members and have them be part of the group. The bad news is at the end of the year, they have to leave us, even though they've been very helpful and helped us with some of the accomplishments that we've made. This last year was Mr. James Moore, and Mr. Moore was a great member for this board. We will miss him. He has agreed, and I won't let him out of this, to stay on and help with some of the tasks that we've been trying to accomplish through our strategic planning. So, Mr. Moore, thank you for your service with the MEDC board. And in his replacement this year is in his place will be Mr. Larry Talley, joining us from the city council. And we welcome him and welcome the opportunity to have him in there and have a fresh set of eyes and a new perspective, and somebody that can look at all the problems and challenges that we face and help us figure those things out. Angela Lester was another very valuable member to our board. She's been on this board longer than I have, and she decided it was time for her to step down, and so she made that decision. She has agreed to continue working on some of the tasks and projects and the strategic planning, which is very much appreciated. But that void needed to be filled as well, and the mayor nominated Ms. Kismet Davis. This is, this group, in my experience, since I've been on, is, and I know there's a lot of people, and obviously you that are here are committed to the community and the city and the county moving forward. This group, to a person, has always had that in the forefront, and they meet, and you can just tell that that's the vision, that's the goal. And once we put our minds and our efforts together, we can accomplish things. And we have a lot of people that like to talk about what needs to be done, but we only have a few people that actually get out and do the things that need to get done. So being nominated to this board, but also accepting that nomination means a lot. It means you're really committed to this particular cause. And yes, you're not always going to make popular decisions when you're on this board, and we certainly don't always enjoy positive perception. But I can tell you that everyone that serves on this board is truly committed and works really hard, and I think some of that's going to show in a minute when I show you our strategic update for the year, strategic plan update for the year. All right, so let's go ahead and get to that. I'm going to show you, first of all, let me just say that as part of what you have on the table, if you all see it, there's a newsletter, a printout of our newsletter. This was part of the strategic plan, and I'll mention it in a little bit. It's a 2-page, printed on both sides. On the right-hand column, you'll see the column that says a look back. And that is sort of a recap of what we've done for the year by month. And you're going to have the benefit, the public at large is going to have the benefit of seeing that on a monthly basis. Thanks to Mr. Stockwell, Mr. Hughes.
Quarterly.
What's that? Quarterly, sorry. Didn't mean to put that much pressure on you. Quarterly basis, you're going to see that. Thanks to Mr. Stockwell, Mr. Hughes, and Mickey, and others that contributed to that. This was part of the strategic plan and trying to better our communication and help share with our city and county and community and others things that we are doing and things we are accomplishing. I'm not going to read through all those because I hate it when someone reads to me what I can read for myself, but you'll see in there some of the things that have happened. Now, I'll say that with a caveat. This is not all the things that have occurred with MEDC by a long shot. There's hardly a month that goes by that we don't address some immediate concern or some potential project, some business request of some kind. Maybe not 50%, but there's a healthy percentage of that we are asked not to disclose because it's sensitive. And I know everybody in here understands that, but it's something that we can't necessarily put on a piece of paper and say that we help so-and-so business or we address so-and-so's concerns. One of the things that's not on here that Cammie does on a regular basis, part of her value, is through her contacts she's established with AEDC, she immediately recognizes and is able to put people in contact with the state, the right people with the state that can help those folks. And sometimes it's that one contact, it's that one handoff that helps them continue on with their project, or at least get the information they need to determine if they can go forward with that project. So, I mean, we sometimes are an information source for people and tell them where they can go. And so that's been invaluable, and that's not going to necessarily appear on the newsletter as well. But this is a work in progress, and this is the first effort. Like I said, there's a lot of time put into this by Mr. Stockwell and by Steve Hughes and by Mickey and others, and it's just going to get better, and we'll try to have more and more information here as the year goes on. So with that, what I really would like to do today is share with you, if you all recall from last year's meeting, we presented our strategic plan. When I joined the board, we started talking about the strategic plan. We hired a consultant, spent a couple of days with a consultant. It took months and months and months, and finally, actually over a year, we finally developed and came up with a draft of our strategic plan. Great. We had this stack of papers that had all these wonderful goals in it that were lofty and frankly daunting at times. But what good is a plan if you don't work the plan? You know, there's been a lot, I've been involved in other boards and organizations that do the same thing. We do strategic planning, but it's only as good as your execution of the plan. And so this year, our big push was to do everything we could to start executing our plan. So I'm going to go through that with you just briefly, so bear with me. Especially if the clicker doesn't work. Our goal one last year, and I'll just briefly, the first goal, of course, was to properly staff MEDC. And we went through, Cammie and I and Bob and other members of the committee or the team that was part of this, that was in charge of Goal 1, met about this, about how to properly staff MEDC. And there's several different ways that we looked at doing that. But in the end, what we gave to Cammie in terms of time is more of her time. And what we realized, she's done a fantastic job trying to juggle MEDC and the chamber for a number of years. But it became evident to us that if we were going to give her a fair shot at accomplishing the goals that she wants to accomplish for MEDC and the city and county, Columbia County, we needed to untie both of our hands. We needed someone full-time. And after discussion with her, she agreed, thankfully, and we met and hired her as our full-time MEDC director. And I think that is going to pay dividends for us. So that was one of the first goals that I think we've accomplished. I'm not saying that's the only staffing that moving forward that it's going to end with that, but that's our first step, is to make sure that we've got someone that's focused and concentrated full-time on this job. We had our first stakeholder meeting. The stakeholder meeting was a group from the county that we thought were the important community leaders, also including fire department, police department, the mayor's office, ministerial alliance, Magnolia Public Schools, SAU, tried to bring them all together. And the idea is that we all need to be rowing in the same direction. And MEDC needs to know, because education, because safety issues, there's so many issues that actually go into economic planning that we don't think about. It's not just about purchasing jobs. It's not just about, we'll give you money if you come here, or we'll give you land. There's so many other facets to this that we have to work on. And so we brought all that group together and had a great discussion. And one of the suggestions that came out of that was, we, MEDC, needs to do a better job of highlighting accomplishments. That wasn't the only thing, but that was one of the things that resonated with us. So we'll be continuing that discussion with that group of stakeholders and look to them to help tell us what the needs are and how MEDC can help those things. We cannot be everything to everyone. We can't. We understand that. But economic development fits into a lot of areas. Goal 2 was to create a economic development process based on research and planning and maintaining access to databases. What Cammie started doing is keeping a spreadsheet as executive director of her activities. And she actually updates the board on a monthly basis of what she's done. And that's important. We need to keep track of that. What is she doing, not just for sake of for job performance, but also what are the things that are going on? So we can start tracking on an annual basis, how many contacts are we having? What type of businesses are we getting these contacts from? We've been using that now, as I said, for several months, and we're going to continue to refine that process, and we'll continue to grow that database. Our third goal is this really long explanation here, and basically, we've got to refine our message, and we have to communicate better. We've got to do some additional PR to raise the level of awareness of MEDC and make sure that we communicate our successes. So, the newsletter was a big part of that, and we really looked at that. That's going to be part of a constant contact, which means if you sign up or you're a member, I think, Wes, is that right? You'll get an email from us, like the chamber does. Currently does the same thing. We also have a link on our website that links to the newsletter itself. And so going forward in 2014, again, we want to raise public awareness and we want to improve our communications. One of the things that we constantly hear is, or I hear, is what has MEDC done? What is MEDC doing? And, you know, we try to get that in the paper, but if it's one time in the paper once a month, that's easily missed or easily lost. And so we will do a better job of making sure people understand the things that we're doing. Goal 4, let me preface this. We have a small group. How many? 8? 10 people on our board. We had 10 goals, 10 very lofty goals. And one of our board members that was in charge of this one had an illness during the middle of the year, and this frankly didn't get off the ground. But what we're having to do is different members have to serve on different teams. We're actually having 2 or 3 of us on each one of these goals. And so it's tough. It's tough at times to find in between, because keep in mind, everybody on our board has a regular job. And so in between that and families and church and other functions, we're working on this. And so this is one goal that we haven't gotten there yet, but the idea is to make better communication with our business partnerships, our local businesses. And I think the intent this year was going to be the downtown businesses, to try to get them involved in the process and communicate with them. Again, the idea is find the synergies and what can we do for you, and how can we help our local businesses grow. So, volunteers are welcome. Or we may volunteer you if you don't.
Mickey will write your name down here at the end if you want to see Mickey.
Goal 5, create and maintain an aggressive business retention and expansion program, BRE. I've had someone approach me this year, and they were actually, didn't think that this was part of MEDC's goal, and I have to disagree with that. It is, very much. Business retention and expansion. If you can't keep what you have, you don't have a shot of getting anybody new, for certain. We certainly need to keep what we have. We can't afford to lose that. And MEDC and CAMI has played a significant role in that, in getting to those businesses and offering training. That's part of the BRE expense that we have on a yearly basis, and sometimes it's big and sometimes it's not, but it's always responsive to our industry. So in part of this goal, we created an industry survey, and obviously, as you see, there will be a data spreadsheet for you to document visits, and it's, again, communication with our industry. The mayor and CAMI, and probably even Ellie, will be making trips out, as they have before, to visit with local industry and local businesses to let them know that we're here, and find out from them, can we help them expand? What can we do to help them train? What do they need? So not only will we continue to do this, but part of this goal is to track what we're doing, help us see where our successes are. Goal 6, develop proactive recruitment process. The team for this goal met, and we decided, after looking at several things, to target food and aviation industry. We have a great airport, and we want to see if we can capitalize on that. We have a lake that has lots of water, and the food industry that's something that they're always looking for. So we came up with that, and we developed a recruitment letter, and we sent out 130 recruitment letters. That's been done recently. That was in December. And so for 2014, we intend to follow up those recruitment letters and continue to recruit efforts from the target industries. Now, part of our efforts are, so we don't limit ourselves, obviously, to just the food and aviation industry. One of the other things that we're looking for, and that we've discussed, and we have a couple of potential interested projects, are those that have synergies with our local industry that are already there. Maybe a vendor of our local industry, or someone that they sell some of their product to, an unfinished product, to someone that finishes that product. We're always on the lookout for that, because that seems to be, would fit really well within our local industry. So just keep that in mind. If you have ideas on that, or know of those that are potentials, then that's also what we're interested in recruiting. Goal 7 was establish a uniform prospect handling process. This was mentioned last year. It's called PREP, and it's offered through AEDC, Arkansas Economic Development Commission, and they have been extremely responsive to us. Kevin Sexton with that office has been down here half a dozen times easily.
He was going to be here this morning, but CrossFit has a good prospect, and he had to be there today.
They are wonderful. They do a very good job in being responsive to us. He was here one evening with us. We were having a strategic planning meeting, and we were trying to finish some of these things up for the year, and trying to make the final push so we could accomplish some of these goals. And he recommended to us to finish this before we start the prep process. He said, what you guys are doing is great, and it's just as valuable as prep, so finish your strategic planning for the year, and then we'll start in early 2014, and that's exactly what we're going to do. So Cammy's already started the information gathering on that, and what it is essentially is they do a mock project have to act as if it's a real prospect coming in, and they take you through all the things that you're going to have to do, and we have to react as if it is a real prospect, and then they are going to grade us out, and in the end of the day, we are going to be certified for handling prospects. That's important for two reasons. Number one, it helps us understand and learn how to handle those prospects when they come in. More importantly, it puts us on a very good and still somewhat short list with AEDC of the cities in the state that are PREP certified. So when they get those prospects in, then they can look at us and they know Magnolia is ready to go. And Mr. Sexton already has a lot of familiarity with us because of Cammy's work with him. He already knows that we're very serious about this. He's sat in on several of our meetings and even our strategic planning. But to be on that list that's certified is important to us, and we're going to get that accomplished this year. Goal 8 was improve integration of economic development and public safety. One of the things that companies look at whenever they're trying to locate somewhere is what are the crime statistics? What does it look like? What's the public safety in that town, and how good is it, and what does it look like? So we met with the mayor's office and police department, fire department, and tried to sell to them the idea again that MEDC, I know maybe they don't think of economic development in the same way, but they're a major part of economic development. Because if our crime statistics are out of whack, if there's something wrong with our fire department, or it's ill-equipped or not properly equipped, or we've got bad fire safety ratings, that's going to affect economic development in this town. And we also want to help them. We want to make sure that they understand that we're here to promote them and the things that they can do. And they were very receptive to that. The fire department is going to give us a list of services. In fact, I think they already have things that they can do. There's lots of things the fire department can do for you if you're starting a business that I didn't even know about, didn't think about. And I don't think it's publicized enough. And so we're going to make an effort to do that, even if we have to take out ads to do it, or be on the radio to do it for them in conjunction with them. And the police department, Lieutenant Corey Sanders was here, does a great job, and he is in the process of starting a downtown crime watch program. It's modeled after the neighborhood watch program. It will be for downtown businesses, and we think that'll be a great plan as well. And of course, we're monitoring crime statistics. So going forward in 2014, we want to continue to strengthen that relationship with them and improve our public and business awareness. Goal 9, we're almost there. Promote the importance of education, workforce training, and economic development. Hopefully we'll get to really cheerlead this at next year's meeting, but I want to cheerlead a little bit today. MEDC and SAU, it's really a 5-party deal, but we really led the charge to obtain a new workforce development and adult education building. I don't know how many of you have seen that in the paper when that came out, but what we're doing is, workforce development, which is the employment office, they're in a spot that they need to get out of, and they need to grow, and they need to be in a good location. And adult education is also in a spot that they need to either better that spot or get out of that spot. And the best idea is if you're going to have unemployment office and you have adult education, well, obviously one of the things that happens is we have adults that don't have the skill sets or don't have the education to get the jobs that are available. That's important to them, but it's also important to our local industries, Albemarle and CMC and others that need skilled and educated workers, at least to some degree, and most now requiring wage certificates. So the best idea is to put all of them under one roof, and that's the plan, is to put it all under one roof out at our business park. And again, we were the ones that ramrodded the project initially and got the ball rolling and offered the land out there for this project. SAU has stepped up in a very significant way. We've really taken the reins over at this point to work with the state. We had several meetings with the state. The project got stalled during the legislative session. I know you all just can't imagine how that could happen politically, but it did. And I said, thanks to Senator Malik on there, because he did. He was able to redirect at the governor's office, and we got the project back on track. And so hopefully, Dr. Rankin, hopefully we can turn some dirt this year, and if we do, then we can hopefully be talking about a finished product next year, or certainly one that's well on its way. And it'll be something that the city and the county can be very proud of, and something that folks can go to and be very useful, beneficial to them, and just ease of
About a
use.
$2 million building that
Yeah,
they're.
it's right now, it's 1.7 ish from the state, and frankly, we need, that's really for the workforce development part and a little bit for adult ed. We've got to find more money to finish out this building the way it needs to be finished out. Because if we don't, then we're going to shortcut and just have basically a workforce development building, and we're going to miss a golden opportunity if we don't get adult ed under that same roof. Adult ed, for some reason, seems to get their funding cut every year, or they certainly don't get any extra each year. And so, if we're really gonna pull this off and really gonna do the best for our citizens and for our industry, we need it all under one roof. And so we're in the process of trying to find areas where that money can be located so we can build this project the way it needs to be built. And it's around another extra $700,000 to finish that out. So when at the end of the day, it could be a $2.4 million project before it's all said and done. That will be owned and maintained to some extent by SAU. And in addition to that, we continue to offer the workforce training classes. Again, that's something that we pay for as part of BRNE. So 2014, we want to begin that building and find additional sources of income. All right, goal 10. Assist new business and support entrepreneurs. We've worked with Megan Whitehead. Where's Megan? There you are, hiding back there. Megan has been great. She showed up to our first meeting. I'd never met her before. I didn't know what she did. And after she spoke for a little bit and explained what she did at Small Business Development, we were like, you have to come back. From now on, you have to come to all our meetings. And she has been very gracious to share her time with us and her expertise. And so she's done some other things, obviously, created the link, or we've created a link on the website, I think, from ours to hers. And we're looking to Megan and her department, Julian, to help with local banks and angel investors and find ways to match up money to ideas. MEDC's help this year, they had a very good seminar by Mark Wilson, a well-known retail consultant who came. They had a pretty good crowd for that training, basically for people that were interested in starting small businesses. So that's something we'll continue to do, is coordinate with SBDC, Megan and Julia, and encourage new businesses. That's obviously one of our missions and very important to all of us. So that is that's our goal for the year, sort of to look back and also what we intend to do going forward. This is a work in progress, obviously. I mean, I feel like I'm proud of the efforts in our group for this year. We've really pushed through and actually done some things that we could come share with you here today. But this is by far still a lot of work left to be done. And we just have to continue to work the plans. That's all we can do, is just continue to work the plan and develop the plan. Cammie and I were talking the other day about the fact that we really didn't mention housing, as part of the strategic plan. And believe it or not, that could be an important item going forward in our town. We don't have an excess of houses in this town, or even rental properties in this town. And what role we play in that, I can't tell you. I'm just saying that it's another facet of economic development that we have to keep our eye on. So that's my pitch to you this morning. Again, I appreciate you all being here. It tells me that you're concerned about the progress in our city and our county, and I want you to know how seriously we take this, and how much we'll continue to push forward and try to accomplish the goals as we can. Ideas are always welcome. Input is always welcome. If you have a problem, come talk to us. If you have a solution, we really want you to come talk to us. But it's tough. I mean, everyone is on this train now. I think whenever Magnolia, and I wasn't here when Magnolia did it, when Magnolia passed its tax, nobody was on the economic development train to a great extent. Now, a lot of cities across the state are awake, and they're moving on this. And so, yes, we would love to have $1 million in the bank or two, that we could offer money, a big chunk of money to people and come here and bring those jobs and we'll pay. We probably won't do that. If we were to do that with a tax revenue, that means we wouldn't spend anything for about 10 years. And then that means we really wouldn't be accomplishing much for that period of time. And that's, I think our group's goal is different than that. We want to save money. Obviously, this is taxpayer money, and we want to be judicious with it, but at the same time, we have a responsibility to do something with it. We have a responsibility to act. And we're trying to do that too in the right places. And I know people won't always, everyone in this room maybe will not always agree that some of the projects are the right places, but we must do something. So, anyone have any questions? Wow, stop your ears off. Okay, well, I'm going to turn it back over to Cammie, and she's got a couple more things, and we'll be done.
Just a couple of quick things. We do see the importance of working regionally. You know, we here in South Arkansas and Camden and El Dorado and surrounding communities, we share a labor pool. And so all of you folks know as well as anybody that we all drive to all the communities every single day. And so it's in our best interest to work together and to show the state that we can work together. And so we do that. The Golden Triangle has been going on for probably how many years, Dr. Rankin?
Probably 15 at least.
Probably 15. And they've had some significant things along the way, but currently what we're doing is we are in the process of putting together a presentation video for AEDC. They have a lot of project managers at Little Rock that a lot of those people had never been south of Little Rock. And so we want to show them in a short little video and hand them a book where we can highlight the assets that we have so that when they have projects come into the state, we want to make sure that all of them understand the resources we have and the kind of help that's available down here for prospects. So we're in the process of doing that and hope to make that presentation 1st of April during that first week. Also, Mike mentioned the housing. We're looking at a project with Southwest Planning and Development. The mayor and I are going to go out and visit with them about working on some housing, even rental property. So, I mean, every single day this office gets calls from people that have moved to town or they're going to be here on business, and our rental property is just really slim. And it's that same way in El Dorado, and it's the same way in Camden. We all have that same problem. So, you know, the mayor's office has torn down 100+ houses in this past year, and so there are some vacancies where we could do duplexes or apartments or those kinds of things. And so, you know, we want to work on that, and we are aware of the housing issue. Not that this group can do a lot of things about it, but we're going to look into that and see about adding that to our strategic plan and where that fits in. The other thing is that Mike McNeil, look at Mike. I'm falling on the floor. Can we edit that, Mike? Norm McNeil, my counterpart in Camden, has recently, I think we're all aware that a company from China has looked at some property that they have that's still an ongoing project, and so he's gotten a taste of looking at international investors and really going outside the United States. And so he took the initiative to create a new website. It is Invest in South Arkansas. It's barely up and running. It still has lots of information that needs to be added to it, but that's kind of a work in progress. We've taken 2 ads out in some site selector magazines, Southern Business and some of that, where they highlight to a lot of those people, and so we're kind of piggybacking on that. Those weren't at any expense to us, so I said, sure. So I'm not having to spend money, but we're on that. But we are doing some things regionally, and I hope that y'all see that our MEDC board does really work hard. They do, and like Mike said, all of them have other jobs, and they also serve on lots of other boards. You know, So, where you can help out, or if there's something that you saw today that you're interested in, we'll be glad to plug you in. I think, you know, part of the problem with our image and what we're doing is it used to be so secretive. And so we're moving away from that where we can. There'll always be things that are not ready for public presentation, but we're looking at some expansions here. We should have, hopefully, if everything pans out with a few of our companies, we should get 150 new jobs. We're working with them and with the state and trying to do that. It's good to see money being spent by our industry here in the county. So then we do have some ongoing prospect projects that we're working with. So, you know, we're excited. El Dorado's got a bunch going on. They're having a lot of expansions over there. Camden's got some expansions, and hopefully we'll get that military project over there. And so that is jobs for us. You know, we want to cheerlead that and be excited for those communities too, because our people will also work in those communities. And so we're excited about that. But I do want to thank y'all for coming, and if you ever have any question or a comment, positive or negative, I know sometimes people don't want to come to the woman maybe because but I can handle it. Bring it on. So anyway, we thank y'all for coming. I hope y'all have a great day. Thank you. We're going to have a short